everybody, and welcome to the Jerick Show. That was some newer, more chilled out intro music playing there. I don't know whether our intern's getting a bit more creative or something, but yeah, it's still same old show, same timely topics, samely poorly presented. Nah, that's where the intern's meant to run the pre-roll video.
Welcome to the Jerick Show, featuring your hosts Javvad Malik and Eric Krohn. Timely topics, poorly presented.
Hello, 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 and we have got a real action-packed, jammed, full of adventure episode for you today. But bringing down the tone, as always, is my friend and colleague Eric Krohn. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't know about this action-packed thing, and I gotta tell you, man, I warned you about hiring an intern off Fiverr. I just, you never know what you're going to get, but the odds are pretty good at that point. It's not going to be what you want. So I just like to point out that I told you so.
No, it wasn't Fiverr. So I went on the Redbook app, and then I asked some people some recommendations there, and they gave me a really good intern.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like the Temu or Wish version of an intern.
Yeah.
Well done, though. Yeah.
I know.
Wonderful. Or something. Well, hey, it's nice to be back. We weren't here last week, but here we are now to make up for it.
Yes, we are. And let's make up for it with a kind of good news story. It's not the best, but okay, let's start with it. So 12 US charges 12 Chinese nationals in state-backed hacking operation. I say it's good because there's people being charged, but because it's like cross-border and everything, no one's ever going to see the inside of a court. But as we were talking about briefly before this started, what a cool name, Aquatic Panda, cyber threat actors.
I'll tell you, man, there's been times I've thought about getting into this sort of thing where you do attribution and all that, just so I could come up with some names like this. Because some of these names are just awesome, right? I mean, unfortunately, some of these groups have multiple names depending on who gives attribution, and it all boils down to whichever one people like, which I guess makes it kind of a competition. But yeah, Aquatic Panda.
I know.
This kind of drives home, though, an old story. Let me tell you a story, Sonny, about when I was a youngin'. When I worked for ISC Squared, or now ISC 2, I was supposed to go over to Beijing to look at some stuff over there we were going to do. And last minute, it wasn't, I don't remember what year that was. Gosh, it had to be around 2015 or so. We charged several of the Chinese hackers with espionage and all that. It was, I think, one of the earlier times we've done that, and it stirred up some controversy. And my boss at ISC Squared told me I couldn't go anymore because of that. And because of my history with you love hearing about this, the Army, remember? And my clearance level I had there. Ironically, our executive director at the time went, and coming back, ended up stuck at the airport for about 4 hours while they took his laptop and phone and everything else he had, and checked it out just to make sure it's good. But interesting how it's interesting how these international things play back and forth. We know we're never going to do anything with this, so we charge them. Why? What's the point? Just to rattle a saber or something like that? Because this goes around both directions all the time, right? They're hacking us. Come on. We know we're all kind of going after them too. So this is probably happening on their side. We never hear about too.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen the individuals named here? And says
Cold Face.
Yeah, Cold Face, exactly.
Like a Bond character or something.
Bring me the technical stuff. All of them come running to the,
Yeah.
It's
face.
I mean,
go back up to him. Does he look like he has a cold face?
Zoom.
Does
I
do
don't know
any of
which.
them look like Cold Face?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
It's I can't
None
see
of
the
them look
names of these
particularly
three. These four
intimidating. Yeah.
names are not there, so it's one of these four, I assume.
Yeah.
But no, it's. I think, joking aside, I think one thing that you can't deny is the amount of effort that goes into compiling a dossier like this, or the research
Yeah.
that you need to go through to find out who's behind it, where they are,
Yeah.
what they're doing, what positions they're in, and everything.
Well, it's amazing. Yeah.
There's a considerable amount of hours and resource that have gone into this. So I think it's great. I mean, whoever the Intel agents that are doing this, it's great experience for them, and probably like they can tell stories that they can't, well, in private, that they can't publicly ever
Yeah.
about
Yeah. I'm going to
information.
write a book about it. Redacted, redacted,
Yeah.
redacted. It's like, but you know, they've got to feel really good when they nail this down. That's one of those sit back and be like, yes, I got it sort of moments, right? We've all had that feeling in IT at some point in time or another, like when Exchange finally works. Or something along those lines. But you know, they've got to feel really good when
Yeah,
they nail something like this. So kudos to whoever is doing this. Well done, etc.
etc. 60% of cybersecurity pros look
Speaking of
to
feeling really good,
engage
yeah.
employers. High salaries are not enough to discourage cybersecurity workers, including functional leaders, from keeping an eye out for better jobs in the competitive talent market. Who would have ever thought that simply money is not enough to keep people in a job? Okay, but who? Oh, it's by the IANS research. I was really surprised. I was expecting it to be your former employer, ISC Squared, because they're the
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
that, like, always talking about the skill shortage and everything.
Well,
So let's
yeah,
pick.
this isn't about a skill shortage that you need to get certifications for, though. So clearly,
Yeah,
this has a little bit more. Yeah, but you know what? We talk about some of this in our book. We
we
talk a
do.
little bit about how you really need to enjoy what it is you're doing, the niche that you're in. And please, for the love of all that's good, don't get into cybersecurity just because some college wonk tells you that if you just do this program, you're going to make six figures right out of college. It's going to be fantastic.
You
Because
mean if you're
this,
a security architect or engineer, you can have an average salary of $206,000 or $191,000 annually?
that, that right there has got to stop. Because they see this, they go in after this, and they don't realize that if this isn't a passion of yours, if it's not something that you love doing, you're going to get dragged because this is not an 8 to 5 job. This is not something you walk in the morning and you're like, okay, I grab my coffee and we're going to get started. And at 5 or 6 o'clock, you turn off the monitors and go downstairs to your family, right? This is a job that's going on constantly and it's going to be in the back of your mind. It's going to live rent free in your head all these extra hours of the day. But people get so fixated on look at how much money I can make. They don't realize, sorry, folks, money isn't everything and it will take a toll on you. Now, if you enjoy this sort of thing and if you find a niche that you really enjoy, like doing things like attribution, right? Or something like that, that you get personal joy out of more than a paycheck, by all means, people can do incredibly good at this. And it's a very worthwhile job to be in. We help a lot of people in cybersecurity, but if you're just getting into it for the money, man, you're going to have ulcers and gray hair. I mean, everyone, look at Javvad. He's 32 years old. Okay. Some of the handles, yeah, some of the handles are really
Yeah.
cool. I like that. Thanks, Sean.
No, I think also, like, one, if you speak to anyone that's unfortunately been laid off in the last year or so, um, the jobs are not easy to come by. There's a real struggle
Mhm.
in hiring, and there are many organizations that are actually laying off people because they now have AI. Um, so if you're not enjoying your work in cyber, you really need to find a new thing to do. There's work while you're working, but there's work to keep up with tech and techniques
Yep.
that come off browse. Yep, absolutely, Sean.
Yeah, you've
Uh,
got to enjoy it. You have to enjoy what you're doing.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's true, not just of cybersecurity, but I think anything. It's
Yeah.
like, don't go into medicine if you just want to be a doctor for the money or the kudos or something,
Yeah.
because there's undoubtedly long hours, lots of horrible messages you have to convey to patients and their families, and all sorts of stress and what have you.
Yep. And you're
That,
probably not going to be great at it. You'll end up working at the VA.
yeah.
Sorry for any VA doctors and stuff out there that I might have offended with that. And everyone, I just want to take this quick note though to plug the book that I mentioned
Oh,
earlier.
that's the one.
Hi, go buy our book on Amazon, everyone. Okay, enough of that. This segment sponsored by Javvad and Erich's book.
Yes. Okay, so let's move on to the next story, because I think that one's done to death, and
Yes.
we're in violent agreement, which I don't like. So, major ransomware attack sees Tata Technologies hit 1.4 terabyte dataset with over 730,000 files allegedly stolen.
Yeah.
Then it goes on to say Tata Technologies the data has been put for sale online. And then it says, when you purchase through links on our site, we may earn an affiliate commission. So if you want to support Tech Radar, then buy your stolen Tata data from, I think it's no.
Yeah.
But
So this
yeah,
Tata, aside from having a name that's either odd or kind of fun to say, Tata for now, right? It's a group that deals a lot in automotive and aerospace type stuff. Big customers here, and this is something that I've talked a lot with manufacturing groups about, is frankly how much information they hold on to that's extremely valuable, right? I was in manufacturing for a while, spent about 4.5 years in a large aerospace machine shop, 130,000 square feet under a roof. I don't know what that equals in meters. It's somewhere more than 4. But that's about as good as I can do with the translation. But you deal with a lot of information from these other organizations that they've spent a lot of time in R&D with. They could be classified. They could be very, very sensitive information that when something like this happens, it not only impacts this organization, but the customers as well that have a lot of money in this game. And this is one of the reasons why manufacturing is targeted so much.
that's right. That's right. And Tata is actually a really big organization. It's a big
Yeah.
conglomerate. It's got many divisions, and they produce a lot of things. So their data is undoubtedly vast and valuable. And
Yeah.
this is the thing. I mean, I think we're all a bit tired about talking about ransomware, because it's been there for the last few years. But
Insert beating horse gif, beating dead horse gif now. Yeah.
flogging
Yeah.
dead. But it's not a dead horse, because people still are getting done. They're having
I
to pay
know.
ransoms. All the data's getting exfiltrated and sold or just leaked. And I think it's still something to keep.
1.4 terabytes.
Yeah.
That's a pretty significant amount of information. I don't know if you saw. I mean, maybe this is the backup to this, Javad. But SpaceX just launched. I think it was SpaceX just launched this thing up to the moon. Maybe it wasn't SpaceX, but they just put a lander on the moon. And there's actually a Tampa organization that had some things on that lander, and one of them is it's a backup on the moon. It's like an 8 terabyte drive or something like that. They backed up to the moon. It's got like national park maps and stuff like that on it or whatever. And they're like, yeah, we're just going to start dropping stuff on the moon, and maybe that'll be out of the way for ransomware. I don't know. What do you think?
What if some aliens come and they land on the moon first, and this then saves them all the recon they need to do, because all the data's there? They're like, oh, here's all the mapping information.
They did say it's encrypted.
Okay, that's all
So
right.
clearly it's safe.
We encrypted
Yeah.
it, but also the database has the key, the decryption key in it.
Right.
So
And it's not quantum resistant, which of course aliens wouldn't have. I was thinking about that actually. I'm like, if something was to come and step across those files, do they know how to decode a JPEG? Like how would they just know how to make that into an image, not a bunch of random ones and zeros?
There is that. There is that.
Yeah.
Lots to
So,
consider, I think, in that regard.
yeah, but anyway.
Final story. FBI alert: $250,000 snail mail ransomware threat to U.S. CEOs confirmed.
How about that, man? Snail
Yeah.
mail ransomware.
So
Yeah.
there are letters sent to CEOs using the USPS demanding payments ranging from 250,000 to 500,000. Well, but how does this work?
Yeah. Well, it hasn't really happened. Okay. So this is just a demand letter. It's one of
Ah,
those, I think, like, oh, if you don't pay us, then blah, 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 blah. It's like one of the DDoS type threats. Oh, we're in your
right, right,
system,
right.
but we're going to mess you up if you don't pay us. Don't try to do anything digital because we know what's going on. And so it's kind of one of those things that they're playing a game here. And there's a QR code in there that allows them to go to one of the websites there. It's a dump site to take
Yeah,
a look at. But I think it's interesting as we're watching more and more of these organizations or these cybercrime organizations try new tactics.
yep,
So there was one, it was a scam, not ransomware, but it went out to a bunch of people in Southern California. And it was a letter that went out to these people and it said, you were parked on the street overnight during street cleaning time. There's a $58 fine for that. Scan this QR code and go pay it, and all is forgiven and forgotten, right? And so you think about that and how that works. These people get it in the mail, which, what are we told by the government? We'll only communicate with you through the mail,
yep, yep,
right? We're
yep,
not
yep.
just going to send you an email. Okay.
No,
So they're making it a little bit more legitimate there. They're doing it with the QR code, which is much harder to see where you're going to go in a lot of cases. And they're making it at a low amount. And for an item, you don't really expect something in return. And I talk about this in a lot of my presentations. But $58 is an annoyance, but it's not enough that you're going to go on a rampage to try to hunt down, right? It's not worth it. If you get $1,000 bill or something like that, then you're going to be
yes,
making some calls.
yes,
But that $58, you're going to pay it. And
yeah,
then you may be annoyed when you get your credit card bill and go, oh man, there's that $58 I paid. But it's not like you bought something and it never arrived. You're not going to go back to the credit card and dispute it, going, I never got this,
yes.
because you don't expect anything in return. So there's a lot more behind these sometimes than people give
That's
them
right.
credit for.
That's right. And imagine going to your local police station and saying, "Hey, I just got scammed out of $58," and they're like, "Okay,
Right. Right.
here's a form." Like,
Yeah.
and maybe one day you'll get to some um, FBI person who can put it all
Right.
together.
Yeah.
Like, that, oh, this is not an isolated incident. There's actually thousands of these going out. But similarly, I think we covered it a few weeks ago, or some episodes ago, about, I think it was in Switzerland or Sweden or something. People got letters through about the Met Office, like their health, not their health, their weather office said you need a new app to.
Oh,
Um,
I don't think we covered that.
we didn't. Might have been one of my other podcasts then. So they, one of my other friends, but they got this QR code, like scan and download this, and you'll get the latest weather alerts and everything, because it's sort of
Yeah.
like a hilly region or what have you, Mount. And that was a booby trapped sort of like malicious file. So it gave the weather, but it also had some other stuff running in the background and what have you. So again, it's using
Nice.
snail mail, because if you're not expecting it from that
Right.
avenue, then you're going to get caught. And speaking of people not expecting things from certain avenues, that's what really catches them out. So, what was that, Eric?
Nothing.
You said? Okay, nothing. So we'll leave it at that. Until next time, stay